Just stuck to it.
What is up, YouTube? We got a lot to talk about today. I promised you guys a while ago we were going to do a video on the kind of then and now of the COWMARO, which is what we're going to be talking about today. But first, I want to say thank you to all the new subscribers. I think we're up to 2,000 and a handful at this point. I think a lot of you guys came off that reaction video that I did with my parents, which I had no intentions of it getting big. I just kind of posted it as like, just to like show my family when I was back home, because I thought it was a funny reaction of them. If you know my dad, you'd think it's pretty funny. But I never thought it would be big, and I'm not into these big videos where I just talk and tell a story the whole time. I like to do more action. But for now, when I don't have the car and I have some footage of other things, it's like the best way to get it to you. So if you guys hate me talking, you know, I'm sorry, don't watch my video then, and just wait till, give me another month, give me a couple of weeks until I get the car back, and we'll do some more action stuff. But thank you guys that do watch it. I think we're up to like 140,000 views, which is, I mean, that blows my mind, because the rest of my videos have like 5,000 views maybe, like some have like 300, but thank you guys for watching that, and for those of you that hate on it, I appreciate it. You know, I read all the comments, and some of you guys are really mean, so it's good. But we're gonna hop in the truck. I'll drive around. We'll talk about the COWMARO, and from when I first got it till where it is now and what's going on with it. So I'll talk about that. I have a lot of pictures and videos of the progression of it and all the different things I did with it along the way. So hopefully you guys like this video, and yeah. Like always, subscribe, comment, thanks for the support, and we're going to be going racing soon. It's freezing up here in Pennsylvania. Another scorcher today. It's like 35 out, so I'm loving it. But we're heading down to Florida soon, get out of here, get in with some racing action and some more exciting stuff. So let's get into this video. With the COWMARO. So I guess that's its new name. It kind of works, it kind of fits. White and orange and cow don't really go together, but we're going to change that. That's a little hint. So originally got the car, I believe I was like 17 years old, senior year of high school. Got the car like right before high school started. Didn't even know how to drive stick on the street. Like, I knew how to drive stick just from where I worked. I worked at a Chevy dealership, washing cars and moving them around the lot. So I knew how to drive them there, but never drove them actually on the street. So when I went to pick up the car, originally, first thing it had 14 miles on the car, and it had a cold air intake, Borla shorty headers, and a Corsa catback, which it had the Corsa catback most of its life. So right after that, drove it off the lot, bucking it, stalling it, doing whatever, got it home, so excited. Way too much car than I ever needed, to be honest. It was way too much car. If you are like a 16 to 18 year old, I don't recommend getting a V8 Camaro, because it's just way too much. Like, honestly, I shouldn't have been able to drive it, but we made it through. We're good. Calmed down a lot since then. So it was nice. It was loud. It made good low end power with the shorty headers, and I didn't really know much. I didn't know much about cars. I knew like get a sweet exhaust for it and make it loud. So I ended up going to BBK long tubes, 1 7/8 inch, and that really opened up. The thing would scream. Had no tune on it, so it ran like crap. So then I bought a programmer, so it ran like crap. Programmers, if you're doing any mods to the airflow, you know, of the motor, you need to get a tune for it. So by this point, I'm heading off to college, go down to North Carolina, and I call up RPM Motorsports. First time I talk to them ever. I call them up, Martin answers the phone, no clue what's going on. In my mind, I think it's like this little shanty out in the woods. I don't realize that like what an actual performance shop is, because I've never been exposed to it yet. So I call them up and I'm like, hey, I want a supercharger. They're like, all right, you know, like what kind? I'm like, I don't care, I just want one that whines really loud, which is honestly the, like, who says that? Like, honestly, when you're gonna go and buy supercharger kits are like $7,000, $8,000. No, I want the one that whines the loudest. Are you kidding me? So they probably thought I was a complete turkey. So we go up there. We get a cam in, a blower cam put in. We get a RPS twin disc clutch, and we get it tuned. And it made 480 horsepower to the tire. I also left out a lot of stuff that like doesn't matter. Like, I put the car in drop springs. I blew the rear out of it like 3 or 4 times. I went through the whole plasti dip stage, so I'll put those pictures in there. It's been on a rollback a few times here and there. So before I had the cam and all that installed, I drag raced for the first time at Fayetteville Motorsports Park, which if I have the video, I'll put it in here. My first pass ever was like a 15.2. Flying. I mean, reaction time was like a 1.4. It was great. I mean, it was a killer run. I almost pissed myself because I was so nervous. So it had the cam and had the clutch in it, and then I go off to internship, and I'm in Hershey, Pennsylvania, where I worked as an assistant golf professional. And that location, you have 2 good drag strips within an hour. So you got Cecil County and New Media. So that's when I really started getting a drag race, and I bought a set of Z06 replica wheels, 18 by 9.5s, put a Mickey Thompson drag radial on it, which on the street was awesome. At the track, not a good setup. So I'm on drop springs. I have a clutch in it. It makes 475 horsepower to the tire, which is good for like a cam only car. And it wasn't even like an NA cam, it was a lower cam, so it worked. Car would run like 12.4s. 12.39 I think was my best pass ever in it. Ran a lot of 12.8s. 12.8's like the newest number. But then I was racing at New Media one of these days. You know, my parents, it's the same distance from Hershey as it is from my house. My parents were going to come up, and I was going to come home that weekend, because I actually got the weekend off, which is very rare in the golf business, but got the weekend off. And my dad hated me drag racing because it was my only car, and he said I was going to break stuff, and I was like, no, I'm not that hard of it. And I go to race in some chotch in like a 69 Camaro, which is revving the piss out of it at the start line. So I'm like, oh, I'm going to show him. So I tack the sucker up. The car moves really good for the first 30 feet, and then it just revs real high, and the rear end was gone. That was like spider gear, just the housing, everything was just not good. So that was like, my dad was so pissed he didn't talk to me for like 3 or 4 days. He was pissed. So the car sat for about 6 months until it went down. It sat 6 months in Pennsylvania, got it shipped down to North Carolina. That's when we went ahead, we put a Strange Engineering 9-inch rear in it. We got rid of the drop springs. We went to Lingenfelter drag coilovers. So that was kind of the first step. That's what kind of got me invested. I already put some decent money into the car, so I said might as well do it right after that. So I had the car, drag raced a little bit more. Setup still wasn't good being on that drag radial. Very bouncy. I wasn't good at launching the car at the track. I did better on the street. The thing was kind of nice on the street. It wasn't slow on the street, but at the track, it just couldn't get it done. It bogs, it bounces around. So then I went down to Florida to do another internship, Palm Beach, and the car was having some issues there. It had a crank sensor that went out, so it couldn't tell where the crank was. So if I drove the car and shut it off, it wouldn't crank back up. It would just keep turning over. I'll show you that clip now, because this was a pain in the ass. So at this point, I call RPM up. I've already been, up there a few times, and I said, hey, let's just do it right. Let's do a turbo build. I want to run a big, well, first I should say, I went to Redline Motorsports, said the same thing to them. I said, I want to run a big turbo, 3-speed auto, stock motor. I already got the 9-inch rear. It's pissing me off. Redline said, no, you don't want to do that. They said, we want to build your motor first and do the trans, and then in a year or so, come back into the turbo. I said, screw that, I want to do what I want. So I went up to RPM, I said I wanted to run a bump rags exhaust, and they told me no. They said it was going to be dumb, which it is not. So, when I called my boy Martin, and I was like, hey Marty, let's do this. Let's go big turbo, 3-speed auto, stock motor, bump rags exhaust. He said, done. That's why I go to RPM, because they are down for whatever. And they do a great job. I mean, honestly, I'm going there for life, just saying. Check them out in the description, they're always there. So, drive the car up there in November, couldn't shut it off, so I drove it from West Palm Beach to North Carolina, like 10-hour drive, made it in like 9 hours flat, didn't shut the car off once. As soon as I got there, shut it off, let it sit for 30 minutes so it would cycle through so I could find the crank again, and then I fired it back up and raced my buddy in his Mustang.
Do it, Dave.
And then the next day, took it right up to RPM, and the build began. So the build was going great. Like any custom build, you try to price everything out properly, but there's stuff that comes up that you don't expect, or that you're not, or you need some parts here or there. So it was more expensive than we originally thought, just by a little bit. And then we went to fire up the motor. The motor had underlying issues before with this whole crank thing. It would run on a misfire, underlying issues. So we were just kind of shot in the dark that it would hold up well, and it didn't crack the piston, which was probably the best thing to happen, because running that size turbo on stock internals, it would have made like 600 horsepower. It would have been stupid. So cracked the piston, sent it off. Warren Race Engines built it. They just put, God, I don't want to tell you guys what they put in it. All right. That's all you're getting to hear. I'm not telling you what's inside the motor. All it is stock cubic inch. Some parts are stock, some parts aren't. It's still on stock heads, stock LS3 intake. All you need to know. If you're smart and you're aware of this stuff, you could figure out what's done to it. Same crank size, everything. So then we got the car out. Drove it on the street a while. I drove it around on wastegate for a while, which was pretty cool. I thought it was awesome just hearing that. I mean, I've never experienced anything like that. I'm coming from a 470 horsepower NA 6-speed car to a car that's on wastegate. When we originally had it tuned, it made 740, and we took some timing out of it to tone it down a little bit. So on wastegate, it makes 700. So whenever you see like the reaction videos of me driving around on the street, I have it on wastegate. So then we went out and raced the first time on wastegate. I was hoping to run like a 660 in the 8th. That's all I was hoping for. And it impressed all of us, and it ran a 620, I believe. Yeah, 620. I'll show that video now. The first pass it ran a 730, and then it kicked up to a 620, which was, better than any of us. I had the whole RPM crew there. It was a great night. Everything ran smoothly. So then we got ready for dragging rights. We put an oil cooler on the car, and for dragging rights, we said we're going to turn it up on race gas, which is, if you want to increase boost, you want to throw more timing at the motor, you need to have proper fuel. So we run 116 octane in it. Car made 930 on like 18 pounds, I think. We have a little more to go. We can turn it up a little bit, but it was blowing through the converter, so it wasn't right. So the mile an hour was down pretty low. But the thing is now, race gas is expensive, so in the near future, we're going to convert it to run on E85, so I can run probably within 50, 60 horsepower, but instead of paying $5 a gallon, you can pay $1 a gallon, and if you're racing a lot. The difference is when you run from a race gas to an E85 burns fast, you need to go up in injector size. Right now I have 85-pound injectors. I need like 220-pound injectors. So I think I'm going to get those, and then you get a sensor, you get it retuned, and you're good to go. Open makes it a lot more, then I could turn it up on the street, because I don't like driving around on 116. I feel like you don't need to do that. It's just a waste of time. So dragging rights went well. We beat the shit out of the car, ended up winning it. Reset the world record. The world record for the stock cubic inch Camaro was a 964, and we ended up running a 932, I believe, which was great. And the car's got, I hate telling people the car's got more left in it, because I don't want you guys to know. From here on out, you probably won't hear many times, unless like my dad, which from that video, if you're watching this, Pat said he's taking it down the track to show all you jokers that he's not a little wimp. Yeah, I won't be telling too many times from now on. So that's pretty much where we're at now. Then I talked to Ryan the other day. Ryan is the owner of RPM Motorsports. If you ever hear me say Ryan, that's what I'm talking about. Talked to Ryan the other day. The cage is in, the seats are coming in, so we're gonna get ready to get this build underway. I'm extremely excited to be able to go in there and film with them. And Jeff, he's gonna let me, go in there and film, and we're gonna make a nice daily vlog series of the build. Hopefully it only takes a week. Then we're taking it straight down to West Palm Beach, Florida, and if you are in that area, I'm gonna drag your ass so bad it's gonna be pathetic. So yeah, that's the Camaro then and now. The COWMARO, sorry. That's the COWMARO from start to finish. That is what happened in its lifespan. Some might say it's boring, some might not. I told some of you guys I was gonna make this video, so here it is. If you don't like these videos where I talk and throw clips in, don't worry. They're gonna start to taper off. We're gonna get back into the action within the next couple of weeks. So thank you very much for watching, and let's get to 3,000 subscribers. I feel like that'd be huge. Like always, comment, like, subscribe, follow me on all social media. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you next time.